Vito Spatafor is an ass muncher. Oh, oh, damn indeedio. Welcome back to Fog Entertainment. The group, the crew, everyone did not take keen to this news, but I tell you what, it's big news.
Yeah, Vito took a bashing in this episode, and not an ass bashing that he would like, but he took a bashing nonetheless from Tony's crew because they accused him of ass munching. But when you think about it, these guys have literally ass munched Tony for like 6 seasons. They kiss up to Tony.
Theoretically, of course, but I mean, you're right, they have. That's all they've done. But Vito takes it to the next level. Catch it, not pitch it. Which, Carlo, that pissed him off.
That seemed to be the final line, didn't it? See, when
Aye.
they found out that he was giving and not receiving, it's almost like they would have.
No, he was receiving. He wasn't giving.
What?
What do you mean, what? He's the female in the relationship.
No, because he's receiving, so therefore.
Yeah, but what he's doing is the more feminine act. Tony pointed out that in prison, there's no females around, so if you're giving, that's alright. But if you're receiving it, that's the line we don't cross, sort of thing. And that's obviously we crossed the line with Carlo here in the gang. Carlo and Polly. See, to me, right, I don't give a fuck you're doing 50 years in the year or 5 minutes.
It's gay?
It is gay.
Alright, I must have totally missed that. I thought they were pissed off that he was giving.
No, they were pissed off that, he was the one sucking off the security guard. Because they thought...
That's what I said, isn't it?
Yeah, but in terms of, like... That suggests that Vito's the one that takes it up the ass, not the one that gives it. So Vito's a receiver, not a giver. I think we're looking far too much into this, folks. And
Anyway, Fog Entertainment, we're givers, and we like to give you all the food, all the content. So let's get
the arc is by no means over, but I've always said this is probably my favourite arc of The Sopranos. I just thought it was very funny. Like, it's not over, like, but this is probably one of my favourite episodes. I think just the banter of Buddy and Vito's fucking brilliant.
And Vito at this point, he doesn't even know about it. He doesn't even know that he'd been buried.
No, so he's with his Gamar. His Gamar points out they haven't had sex in a year, probably because he's banging men, or they're banging him.
And he blames on the weight loss.
The weight loss, which
sugar levels.
Is there an AIDS epidemic happening in New Jersey? Potentially. Tony then gives the guy battered last time out some money. Hey, Tony, I don't remember opening the fridge. Yeah, because you didn't, mate.
Yeah, he apologises for raising his hands. Tony's like, it's okay, as long as you know.
Obviously, Tony can't say this, right? But Tony could be like, here, I got shot. You're the biggest guy here. I wanted to prove a point to my crew. Let's keep it between me and you, sort of thing. Obviously, he's not going to do that, but that's exactly what he fucking did. You know what I mean? Imagine if Tony tells this guy that, and this guy goes, here, by the way, guys, he did it just to prove a point. Well, Perry probably get killed that night. But anyway, we have Christopher and his wee buddy, Murmur, or whatever you call him. They're at an AA meeting. This guy walks out. He's like, hey, Chris. He's like, do I know you? He's like, for Yonkers. This guy points out that one of his crew spotted Vito in a fag bar in New York. And then Vince McMahon walks into the bing. He's like, you are not gonna believe this. And then Mamar just like, how do you pronounce this guy's fucking name? He just blurts out that Fetal Spatafor is an ass muncher, and Paulie probably delivers his best of the series.
Yeah, and you know what, man? I don't like that. I think this guy stole Chris's thunder.
He did, but it was kind of great.
I mean,
if it was ever to steal a thunder, it was this line.
True.
And then, you know what? Despite Paulie being the one that's probably most adamant that he has to be killed, he defended Fetal here.
Yeah, he probably just didn't want to believe it.
Then he says here, if it was somebody for Yonkers making this lie up about me, it'd be something up his ass. It'd be no cock either, which was a pretty good line for Paulie. Then they talk about, the weight loss. It could be AIDS. Chris finds it fucking hilarious. Tony's not very happy about it. But you can kind of see, even through the get-go, Tony doesn't want to believe it because Vito's his best earner.
Yeah, that's probably the only reason.
Yeah.
Tony's money orientated.
Silvio then points out that he did phone him about 4 o'clock in the morning the other night.
It was a weird conversation.
Feeling him out, and then Chris is like, oh, he's probably feeling you out just to see if anything was up, if we got wind of the news. But then we get the job squad. Benny and a bunch of Diddy men rock up, and like, oh, Tony wants you. And then Vito is like, all right, I'll drive myself. He drives off, and then Benny throws a rock at him. You fucking fanook.
You think at this point Vito's like, I'm done?
Aye, I think he is done. He goes home that night. He kisses his kids goodbye. Probably kissed his son on the lips, to be honest. He then takes a couple of pictures and drives off into a stormy night. And you know what? Despite Vito being a bit of an arsehole, and
you do feel sorry for him, don't you?
Yeah, he brought this on himself, though.
He did, but we hear his wife saying, oh, he's a great husband, a great fat. We never got to see that, though.
No, we didn't.
I'm not saying that he isn't, but she says.
What do you make of Phil Leotardo? Is he the kind of guy that's going? He's like, oh, we're going to get him back here, darling, and sort this out. What do you think Phil wants?
Really?
His arse. His arse on a silver platter, brother. But it is. He married his cousin. He besmirched the. Can you see that causing a bit of a rift between Tony and Phil?
Well, definitely. He's going to be like, here, one of your guys has fucking ruined my family name.
Aye. And bloody great. Anyway, but yeah, Vito, he's away. We see a conversation with Tony and Chris. Chris has now completely done a 180 on the Italian job.
Although, I mean, before we talk about that, would Tony Cruz get behind? Would Tony's crew
Cruz?
Would Tony's crew get behind a war, protecting a fag, or over a fag? If that leads to like beef. I just don't think Tony's crew is gonna.
And that's the problem. We can sit here and talk about, well, you know what? He doesn't deserve to die for it. But if New York want him dead,
I can't imagine Paulie selling Chris willing to go against New York to protect this guy's ass.
It's like a war without a cause, isn't it?
It
just doesn't really make much sense. But
it's like fighting for a war you don't believe in.
Yeah.
Fighting for a rights or something, or a cause that you don't have any emotion in, or.
It's no reason to die.
No.
I mean, we're reviewing Sons at the minute. Yeah, they're in a war based on a lie, but they think it's real. Like, no one in the fucking history of TV shows or movies go to war over something like this. So it's just not worth risking your life. Absolutely not. But we see Chris and Tony, they're discussing the whole Italian job, sitting outside Saltier's, and Chris finally gives Tony his blessing. That's brilliant for him. We then see Tony tries to get a bit. He rings Vito's phone. This guy picks up the phone, and they just swear. Tony's like, are you the guy sucking Vito's cock? Which I thought was pretty funny. And then the guy's like, who the fuck are you, faggot? And he's like, oh, Mr. Tough Guy over the phone. And then he just throws the fucking phone down. But obviously Vito, he checked in to some hotel in New Hampshire, wherever the fuck that is. I believe it's in Maine. New Hampshire, Maine. You're good with the states, aren't you? I'm pretty sure New Hampshire's in Maine. It's definitely in Maine, so there we go. But then, I mean,
election night would tell me so.
We also got some pretty good dialogue in this episode to do with George Bush. Meadow, the stuff with her being a lawyer, or like an attorney or whatever the fuck, I could not.
Woke Meadow.
Yeah, woke Meadow. Well, but we're a George Bush family. That's when George Bush was good back in the day. Still doing his wars, but.
Don't know if George Bush was ever good, but
yeah, in the Soprano house he was good. But Vito, what's he do? He goes to the diner. He sees these two gay guys get served, and then the guy serving them talks about Johnny cakes. Think this guy serving them's gay?
Well, I don't know, but Vito was eyeing him up.
He fucking was eyeing him up. I think he wanted some of his Johnny cakes at the
end. I'll give you some Vito cakes at the end of the night, man.
He wanted some of it, right? And then what we get here, all right, is essentially. Rosalina Priel and Carmela. They're discussing Vito. He's been playing for the pink team. Meadow then walks in. He's like, I could probably hazard a guess at it. He's gay. And then well, how did you know? And he's like, oh, Finn spotted him sucking off a security guard a couple of years back. I believe it would be years at this point. So Tony then walks down the stairs singing. And in his singing, his song is interrupted by Vito's ding-a-dong because it's all over. Finn is then dragged into Saltier's, probably for the greatest confession of all time, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Because these guys are probably thinking, why is Tony dragging the dentist in here? Isaac yank him into Saltier's. And then Silvio, we have like a cut where it cuts to Vito. He's just walking around that place. He's not really doing an awful lot, to be honest. But then it cuts back to Saltier's. And then we get Silvio. He basically asks, when Vito cornered you in the porta potty, when the security guard was sucking him off, well, wait a minute. It was him sucking off the security. Son of a bitch! It was like the biggest dose of betrayal I've ever heard in my fucking puff.
It was almost like they were maybe warming, well, maybe not warming to the idea, but like they were maybe willing to accept it.
Yeah, but that catching, not pitching, and that was it. It was all over. It was absolutely all over at this point, and it did split the ranks. Chris said, like Vito construction tycoon. Told him when he said he was greasing the union. Who knows what it meant? Some great dialogue in here, but
Tony didn't find it too funny. Huh?
he didn't. I'll tell you what, Patsy found it fucking funny. I've never heard that guy show so much character.
No, he was laughing his ass
I
off.
find Chris's joke brilliant. Bobby pointed out that he can't be here in a social club no more. I know that much. Carl then pointed out he's gotta go. And then Tony's like, I want to think about it. Paulie says, what the fuck's there to think about? Probably the most vocal I've ever seen Paulie against Tony.
Yeah, I mean, he did get told to sit down, and he apologised moments later, but he did repeat himself.
No, he did repeat himself, and you go take care of his kids? Of course, Paulie's not going to take care. How much more betrayal can I take?
Well, Paulie makes into the whole thing into him.
Yeah.
Why is he the one being betrayed?
Yeah, I didn't really understand. I mean, I guess he is like a self-centered, selfish prick at the end of the day, but right, we're not in the mob, right? In my opinion, does Vito deserve to die?
Well, we're going to put it up for a poll, aren't we?
We're going to put it up for a poll, right? But let me just answer it right here, right now. See, by the letter of the mob, he probably does. But Tony did.
Well, I've never read the letters. Like, to be fair.
Yeah, but
The letters.
I think The Sopranos does a good job in a sense of like it's bringing the mafia into the 21st century. Like remember when Johnny sacked, they made that joke about his wife, and Junior's like, in my day, he'd been fucking dead.
Yep.
I think Vito, even though the majority do want him dead, if this happened like in the 80s or the 70s,
Wouldn't even be up for debate.
yeah, like I don't even think. And I think it does make Tony look weak. Like, if Vito was like the shittest earner in the crew, he'd probably be dead by now.
Good job, he's making a lot of money then.
Yeah. He then goes to Dr. Melfi, and she's like, I don't really see what the problem is. He's like, he's a fag. Which is a pretty great line there for Tony. He points out that it's alright in jail, but I don't think it is. Why is that?
I don't get it. Tony's like, oh, well, if you're going to do 15 years, then it's all right.
And he's like, whoa, my jail time was really short, by the way. I wasn't gay. So obviously he thinks it's gay enough to draw the line that he didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like cannibalism where it's like, oh, here, if you went like, 15 years for food, you would need to eat some days. You could just go without it, couldn't you?
No, you could, absolutely, but then seen Tony asked Chris basically about his Arabic friends, and Chris is like, no, they've got a dog, and they do other American stuff. They're not Al Qaeda, Tony, which I thought was pretty funny. We didn't see Carmela confront her dad because he stole a bunch of stuff for the spec house, but if they're not going to use it, then why not?
I've
had a lifetime of listening to her bullshit.
It feels strange to me because Carmela and her dad always seem to get along. Is it not Carmela and her mother that seem to butt heads?
Yeah, it is, but I think he's finally fucking had enough here. But we then see Tony promote Carlo to like head of construction. So he's kind of replaced Vito, but at the same time, not completely. And Carlo kind of backs down here. He points out that members of the crew and captains aren't going to be taking orders for Vito and don't want to work with Vito. But then, like, when Tony, like, goes against them, he kind of says, like, well, what about them? And kind of distances himself from it. Why not just fucking stick to your guns? You know what I mean? But it's because he got the promotion, he balls it. Then Silvio calls Tony out on it, and Tony's like, it's 2006, right? A lot of guys in the mob have done it. But the mob lose fucking respect.
Yeah, I think you need respect in the mob, don't you?
I mean, they are strict Catholics, Christians, whatever you want to name it. Tony even points out oh yeah, you Dr. Melfi, you may have a lot of gay patients and trans and all that stuff, but here we're strict Catholics.
I don't believe in that shit.
We don't believe in that shit, buddy. And I like.
Although does Tony's actions really strike you of a good Catholic man?
Not really, but yeah, all but the
Very
end.
hypocritical.
What do you think? Prediction is
They pick and choose.
No,
Pick
they
and
do.
choose what they
Oh,
want.
he cheats on his wife and all. I mean, that's blasphemy and all that shit. Is Carlo going to deliver on construction, or is he going to flop?
Well, the fact you asked me that tells me he's going to flop, and Tony's going to be like, I need Vito back in there.
Maybe you should start sucking dick, Carlo. But yeah, I liked when Vito picked up this like random pot at the end of the episode, and then the guy's like, "Here, you've got a good eye, and you're a natural because that's the most expensive thing in here." Further hammering home the point that Vito is a massive part of making money and isn't easy to replace.
Yeah.
And he's all about that making that money. Anyway, that was it for Live Free or Die. We also did have the scene with Phil, but we kind of addressed that earlier. Phil obviously wants Vito dead. I'm looking forward to the rest of it. Good episode. I mean, it's not like the greatest episode, but I think the dialogue's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, no, I did really enjoy this episode.
I'll give it a 9.
So I'm giving it a 9. Like I said, I mean, it's not like a lot happened, but I was interested in what did happen.
Yeah, like in terms of action, there was nothing. But
I don't care who needs action. You've got Tony's crew just bashing Vito for being gay. That's good enough for me. I could have a whole season of that.
Yeah, and I like the fact it's not. I mean, obviously it's 2006 they filmed this, right? It's not woke, but they're like actually addressing the problems. Like Tony's like they're forcing it down our throat on TV. He's like personally I'm let live, but I don't want it. What people do behind closed doors, that's one thing. I think a lot of people have that mindset.
Yeah,
they just don't want it forced down like into schools and shit like that. Anyway, 9 out of 10. Live Free or Die. Up next, we'll see what happens to Vito and his Johnny Cakes.
Weird though that Tony back then was even claiming it was getting forced down your throat.
That's 2006.
Yeah.
Fast forward, basically 20 years later, like.
Now maybe I wasn't really thinking about that stuff back in 2006. I can't really recall it.
But obviously, but maybe in America it was.
Yeah.
You never know. Anyway, try the Johnny Cakes. They're our favourite.